Barn. So much has merged in this sound. For the Russian heart, it is the Volga that is a real barn and not all this. And if an ordinary Volga could be somehow bought for checks, let's say the external post of the trade. But this is no. And the Soviet man didn't need it. That's probably what the party thought. To have a car in general and a station wagon especially, everything that needed could be transported by the relevant services. To the hospital, ambulance. To the station, taxi. Because in all these structures they serve GAZ 2402 or 2404. What's the difference? More on that later. In fact, everything is more banal and sadder. Very few station wagons were produced. For the entire production period of the Gorky Automobile Plant 02 and similar ones, produced a total only 70,000 cars. And this is for a country like the USSR, a drop, not satisfying needs. And how it all began. Design of the new Volga. The old one is GAZ 21, another model is GAZ 22 based on 21. It was not supplied to taxis. Started in 1958. The final design of the GAZ 24 was approved in 1963. A year later the first prototype was born and was shown in the Kremlin. In 1967 the car went into production and was considered a style icon of Soviet artists and designers. But in fairness, it is worth noting that station wagons were also developed. There were ideas, there were developments, but the barn so needed by the side appeared only in 1972. Once again, GAZ 2402 is not GAZ 24 Volga with a different trunk. This is like a newly designed body. Exactly universal for ambulances and taxis and technical services. For example, GAZ 2402 Escort Mobile Aircraft Escort Point. But pies were not officially transported on the Volga. And from 24 they took the entire front part, distinctive and modern, with a chrome grille and shiny bumper. It had more angles and straight lines than rounded shapes. Up to the pillar, it's a Volga, and everything in the back is new. The largest single part of the car is the roof, with 1,350 millimeters, and length, almost 3. What am I talking about? About the fact that the stamp is wow, what a great. And the second, there are no stiffeners, but the roof doesn't play. And on taxi station wagons there were no ridges on top. It was on regular ones but not here. There are not even mortgages here, well, in the sense of holes in the roof. After the front pillar all is owned. Door with square frames and false windows. It's interesting that the design artists Leonid Nikolenko and Nikolai Kiriv for all GAZ 24 models made the door glass bent, and at 0 second, the rear windows of the sidewalls of the body are flat. It's cheaper and more convenient for production. Practicality is in everything. Here's an example of the luggage compartment, probably 500 liters. In length, I mean in depth, more than 2 meters. And a completely flat floor. Very high floor. Why? It's very simple. There's a spare wheel hidden under the floor. This is very practical, since a dirty wheel does not stain things. On the floor below on the street, there is a 55-liter tank. It's also worth noting the stampings on the back of the car for the reflectors that were installed on early cars. For reference, all of the listed design features of the station wagon body have remained unchanged through 4 generations of sedans from GAZ 24 to 3110. Third row of seats. It's a pity that the armrests on the sides are lost. Despite the fact that this is a luggage compartment, it's also a salon, so it's lined with vinyl. Plastic covers the wheel arches, which are armrests for the damned. When I was little, I really loved riding in the gallery. Third row, but not now. Come in. Carried out here. That's why damned. Well, sideways. And one. It's all right. But the practicality of the Volga does not end there. Here you can fold the second row in a ratio of 40 to 60. Convenient for transporting long items. In addition, cargo stops rise from the lowered backrests so that the load of the seat does not spoil or press on your back when braking. With all rows retracted, the length of the trunk and the folding side is 205 centimeters. The opening itself is 127 centimeters wide, height 65. Well, let's start about the differences. Hey, all you video aficionados out there, want a first look at our newest content? Join us on Patreon for early access. As a small channel, your support goes a long way, spurring us to create more and better videos. Your contribution is invaluable, motivating us to deliver content more frequently. Join today for sneak peeks and join our community of supporters. Can't wait to see you there. Well, let's start about the differences. Opening the hood. Everything is like in any Volga. 2.5 liters volume. 4 cylinders in line. But there are not 95 horses here, but 85. It is deforced. For operation on 76 gasoline. That's all. Here. The interior in the front part, as you understand, is identical to the regular Volga. Injury-safe dashboard, soft to the touch, impressive in size. Wood-look vinyl finish and round air ducts on the sides. Complete absence of all kinds of buttons. It's Volga. Everything is turned on with twists and pulls. There are large folder pockets on the doors for documents. Speedometer with hand and weekly winding clock. Well, let's go. Pay attention to the seat. For taxis, they were made of leatherette in the front and rear. It's easier to wash, just in case. Tape recorder. Radios. There was no taxi in the taxi. Instead, there was a plug or, as in our case, a radio telephone. Salam alaikum, brother. And with the music, the taxi drivers had fun as they wanted. Here's a stand made of aluminum wire and a small radio. Well, if you sell vodka normally, then a cassette tape recorder. Another striking attribute with a ticking, measured sound is the taximeter counter, their L1. They were produced at the Vladimir Precision Mechanics plant. In all taxis, and these were only Volgas, such meters were installed until the early 90s, and this is a super gear compactor. Total mileage is displayed here. Paid mileage. Cash register, how much did you earn? Getting into the car, 2,600 with something. Turn the lever. And the taxi driver has already earned 20 kopecks. For boarding. For some reason it's 40. And then the counter counted 2 kopecks either from the mileage or from the internal clock. If the speed did not exceed 10 kilometers per hour. It is driven from the box. There is a splitter at the bottom. That is, in fact, in a taxi there are 2 speedometer meters. And this is the antenna. Yes, of course the mount is broken. That's why we didn't install it. As a child I loved it very much, but more the army one. She felt very good, well, when you open her or chop nettles or in a fight. The taxi also came with all kinds of signs. Some said that the machine only works to order. Others notified what time the car should work on the line. Third, to which taxi fleet this board belongs. But taxi drivers had their own awards. For example, shock worker of communist labor. It was cool, it was a pride to receive such a badge. If we talk about the car's suspension, everything is familiar and worth mentioning, except for memories. The rear one is slightly different from the sedan with springs. Here there are as many as 6 thicker sheets instead of 5 as in 24. Standard ramps were replaced with cargo ramps measuring 7.35 by 14. Otherwise the same. There is a pivot suspension at the front and drum brakes everywhere. If this is a barn, what did taxi drivers call the regular 24th Volga? A shrimp, due to the radiator grille and fangs on the bumper. On the one hand, the turning radius of this car is normal 5.6 meters. The machine is long, 4.70 meters. But steering from lock to lock when turning well, it's just like a squirrel in a wheel. Four and a half turns well, from lock to lock. There is power steering, and it's muscular, and here we are. Muscles. Otherwise Volga. This is Volga, soft, confidently picking up speed car, swaying rhythmically on the road. The sound of the resonator at high speeds has not changed at all for decades. Visibility is excellent, due to narrow pillars and glazing, and of course the smell of a Soviet car. Well, of course it knocks out 4th gear. Where would we be without it? Have you noticed that there is no rear window wiper at the back? And all because there is a deflector on top that effectively fights dirt, and at the same time also serves as interior ventilation. Invention. And the right mirror shows. Yes, it doesn't show anything. Well, oh well. In general, Soviet cars did not have a right-hand mirror. It was a luxury. But it's not where you expect it to be. And if you put it where you are waiting, then you won't be able to see anything through the window. Can you feel the difference of 9 horses with the usual 24? Nope. Maybe only if you spur it, but that's not the main thing. This is a very high torque engine. Crawled into higher gear. There are 4 of them, and you pull, will pull out all the time, at any speed. In short, the ship is not for fuss. Moreover, you can reset it to 40 and the motor will still pull out and respond to the accelerator pedal. It's not fun, of course, but it will very confidently take you back to a brighter past. The past came in 1987 when the barn was replaced on the assembly line by a younger model 24012. Essentially the same thing, only simplified for the sake of time. Although it's sad that our Volgas are no longer there and they are unlikely to exist. But most importantly, the Gorky automobile plant is alive and probably thriving. It's great. And the hunt continues.